In this video, we'll be looking at some instances where cops got completely owned in court. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with a Border Patrol agent getting completely owned in court by a lawyer. The lawyer started by reminding the agent of his duties at the Border Patrol checkpoint and asked him if he follows written policy while doing his job, and the agent confirmed it.
When you're at the Border Patrol checkpoint, your duties are to enforce immigration laws and look for terrorists and look for weapons of mass destruction and assist in detecting narcotics. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you do this, of course, you're following a procedure manual that tells you what to do?
Following policy, sir.
Written policy?
Yes, sir.
The lawyer then proceeded to ask him if he had ever seen a written policy, and after some hesitating, the agent said that he hadn't and just said that he was aware that they were out there.
You have a copy of their written policy?
No, I do not, sir.
Have you ever seen a copy of that written policy?
That states our authority to conduct immigration checks, or for the checkpoint itself, sir?
For that checkpoint.
No, I have not, sir.
Are you aware of any written guidelines or policies or procedures on how to run that checkpoint?
I am aware that they're out there, sir.
You're aware that they're out there?
The lawyer wanted to get things straight, so he asked the agent to repeat what he had just said just for the sake of clarity, and the agent did just that.
Let me get this straight. You're testifying right now that you are aware that there are written guidelines and procedures for this checkpoint?
Can you state that question again, sir?
Is it your testimony here and now that there are written guidelines and procedures for this checkpoint?
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
Have you seen them?
No, I have not, sir.
But to your knowledge, they exist.
The lawyer then proceeded to ask some questions about the particular incident, asking him if he recalled him giving the telephonic statement to a man, and he confirmed it. The lawyer then went on to ask him some follow-up questions, such as if he was aware that the conversation was being recorded, and if he remembered being asked if he was aware of any written guidelines regarding the Border Patrol checkpoint, and he said that he didn't remember, to which the lawyer responded with another question, asking if playing that tape and hearing his own voice was going to help him refresh his memory, and the agent agreed to hear it.
Do you recall on June 1st of this year giving a telephonic statement to Mr. Victor?
I do not recall the exact date, but yes, I do recall a telephonic interview, sir.
Do you recall you were in a room with Mr. Katz?
Yes, sir.
I believe there was another attorney in the room who was a representative of the Border Patrol Union?
Yes, sir.
And you were on the telephone to Mr. Victor?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware that that tape recording was being recorded?
Yes, sir.
And were you trying to tell the truth at that time?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember being asked during that statement if you were aware of any written guidelines, policies, and procedures for this checkpoint?
Do I remember that specific question, sir?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Do you remember saying that you were not aware of any written guidelines, policies, or procedures?
No, sir.
Would it help to refresh your memory if you heard a tape playing of your voice?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if I may.
If you want to use that one, it's fine.
It starts right at the beginning of that.
This one needs
Please listen to this tape and tell me if this is your voice and if you remember being asked this question and given this answer.
And Your Honor, the state's going to...
Just as they were about to play the audio tape, the state's attorney objected and wanted to know if that was noticed as part of their trial exhibit and disclosure, and another lawyer explained to the judge that it didn't need to be noticed because it was impeachment. The state attorneys protested for a bit, saying that the same standards would apply to both parties. But then the lawyer argued that if the defense would have to give impeachment to the state before the state's witness testimonies, then it wouldn't be much of an impeachment. He also said that they were simply disclosing the audio tape of the interview and that he couldn't understand what could possibly be the objection to that. After some time, the state attorneys just withdrew his objection, and the judge said that the defense could proceed with playing the audio tape.
At this point, was this noticed as part of your trial exhibit and disclosure?
Actually, Judge, this doesn't need to be noticed because it's an
Your Honor, the same standard would apply to both parties as they would expect. Everything that be given in notice to both parties.
Judge, the law's well settled in Arizona. If the defense had to give impeachment to the state of the state's witnesses before the state's witnesses testified, it wouldn't be much of impeachment, would it? We're simply disclosing the audio tape of the interview that the state's witness, where the state's counsel was present throughout the entire interview.
Your Honor,
I have no understanding what possibly could be the objection to this.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Maybe.
Your Honor, Mr. Victor is quite correct under Rule 613B. The state withdraws its objection.
You may proceed.
Let's ask this question. Do you have any written policies, procedures, or guidelines on how the operation of that particular checkpoint is to be conducted?
No, to my knowledge, no. I'm there to determine citizenship, sir. If somebody's traveling through there, say, some sort of checkpoint, they're U.S. citizens, they're free to go. If they're not U.S. citizens, they are not.
After the tape, the lawyer asked the Border Patrol agent if he could recognize his own voice, and the agent confirmed it. Then the lawyer asked the agent to confirm his statement that he wasn't aware of any written policies or guidelines, and the agent confirmed that as well.
Recognize that as your voice?
Yes, sir.
Were you asked the question if there were any policies, procedures, or written policies, procedures, or guidelines for that checkpoint?
Yes, sir.
Was your answer that you were not aware of any?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The next thing you know, the lawyer was back to asking the agent questions about his job. He asked him what happens when he asks people if they are U.S. citizens or not, and the agent confirmed that they're on their way no matter if their answer is yes or no. But when asked again, the agent gave a contradictory statement, and the lawyer couldn't help but wonder which answer of the two was the correct one. The agent then replied that people usually have their immigration documents with them, which they present to him, and only then are they on their way.
To have your testimony correct that when people pull up and you ask them if you're a U.S. citizen and whether they answer yes or no, then they're on their way?
Yes, sir.
So if someone pulls up and you say, are you a U.S. citizen, and they say no, they're on their way?
No, sir.
Well, which is it? You just said if they say yes or no, they're on their way. But then I asked the question a different way. If they said no and you said they're not on their way, which one is it?
Usually if somebody says no, they already have their immigration documents with them. They present that to me and they're on their way.
The lawyer then asked him if he usually tries to get them a secondary inspection if he is unable to determine citizenship at the checkpoint, and the agent confirmed that. And then the lawyer pointed out the fact that he doesn't always do that, meaning that he sometimes just lets them go, and the agent just gave a contradictory statement again. The lawyer said that he was confused, so he asked him again, this time pointing out usually doesn't mean always, and sure enough, the agent changed his statement again, saying that he always gets people a secondary inspection if he's unable to determine citizenship.
And do I have your testimony correct that if you are unable to determine citizenship at the checkpoint, do you usually try to get them to go to secondary?
Yes, sir.
Not all the time?
No, sir.
So sometimes you cannot determine citizenship at the primary, but you just let them go.
No, sir.
And now I'm confused again. I originally asked if you are unable to determine citizenship at the primary checkpoint, that you usually try to get them to secondary.
Yes, sir.
I did not say always try to get them to secondary. Do you understand my question?
Yes, sir.
Usually means sometimes not, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
So is it fair to say that sometimes, if you are unable to determine citizenship at the primary checkpoint, that you let them go anyway.
No, sir.
I don't understand again. If someone comes up and you cannot determine citizenship, you say you usually try to get them to secondary. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Usually means not always. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Like, I usually wear a suit to court, but not always. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So there are some times that people come up and you are unable to determine citizenship, but you just let them go on their way. Is that correct?
No, sir.
And what do you do with them?
I try to establish the citizenship there,
And suppose you can't.
and they go to secondary, sir.
So if you are unable to determine citizenship, they always go to secondary.
Yes, sir.
Not usually, but always now.
Yes, sir.
The lawyer then went back to the particular incident, asking the agent if Mr. Anderson was sent to secondary inspection because of a dog alert. After a bit of hesitating, the agent said that it was a combination of both immigration and canine alert. The lawyer continued to completely own the agent by asking him if the decision was made before the man ever got to him, and the agent said yes. Which is why the lawyer asked a very legitimate question: how does the dog determine someone's immigration status?
Mr. Anderson was sent to secondary inspection because of the dog alert. Is that correct?
It was a combination of both immigration and the canine alert, sir.
Okay. So you're saying part of the reason he was sent to secondary was immigration, not the
Yes.
dog alert?
Yes, sir.
But wasn't the decision made to send him to secondary, wasn't that decision made before he ever got to you?
Yes, sir.
And the decision was made, or you got the signal from Agent Spoonamore,
Correct.
before any immigration question was asked.
Correct.
And Agent Spoonamore gave you that signal because his dog alerted.
Correct.
So the dog decided to send him to secondary.
Correct.
How does the dog determine immigration status?
The canine does not determine citizenship, sir.
So he wasn't sent to secondary for immigration. He was sent to secondary because the dog alerted.
Mr. Anderson never answered my immigration question.
But the decision that he was going to secondary had already been made, correct?
Correct.
He could have pulled up to that primary checkpoint with a passport in his hand, and he was still going to secondary. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there any better documentation of U.S. citizenship than a U.S. passport?
No, sir.
So it didn't matter what he said, he was going to secondary
Yes, sir.
because the dog said so.
Because the canine alerted to the vehicle, sir.
Is a canine trained to alert to people here illegally?
No, sir.
So the dog wasn't alerting for immigration.
In the end, the lawyer said that no matter what the man at the checkpoint said, he was still going to secondary inspection because the dog said so. He then went on to ask if the dog had been trained to determine if people have illegal status in the country. When the agent said no, the lawyer concluded that the dog didn't give an alert for immigration.
Didn't matter what he said, he was going to secondary
Yes, sir.
because the dog said so.
Because the canine alerted to the vehicle, sir.
Is a canine trained to alert to people here illegally?
No, sir.
So the dog wasn't alerting for immigration.
As we've just seen, it's not uncommon for cops to get owned in the courtroom, but they can also be absolutely humiliated in courthouse hallways. We're in Tucson, Arizona Municipal Court for this next one, where a bunch of cops got completely owned by an educated citizen. He was just exercising his First Amendment right to film when the cops came up to him and tried to violate that right by telling him to stop filming immediately. One of the cops could be heard asking the man if he was filming and live streaming, and he said that he would arrest him for trespassing if he was doing either of those things.
You guys are searching for us just now, aren't you? No? Got a call? Uh-oh. Looks like an awful lot of officers here.
Hi, Mr. Brown, how are you?
Oh, no. No.
Are you live streaming right now?
Wine grab.
Are you filming or recording?
I don't know
If you're
what I'm
filming
doing.
and recording, you need to stop immediately.
I just got my discovery. What are you doing?
If you are filming, you need to stop.
Does it look like I'm filming?
No, it does not.
I'm reading my
We're
paper.
just a second. If you're live streaming right now, if you are filming, and
Shut up. I don't want to hear your mouth.
You'll
Shut,
be retract-
you just got my discovery. You want to read through it?
If you're streaming,
You want to read through it? I'm not
No.
streaming, you dumb.
okay.
What are
You
you
need to
going
leave
to
the
do? What are
building
you flipping
immediately
at?
if you are. If you're found to be filming,
Wine grad?
you'll be arrested for trespassing. If you
Shut up.
don't
Nobody
leave.
wants to hear your mouth anymore.
The man then tried to teach them how to do their job by asking him if he should de-escalate the situation, but in reality, he was trying to say that they should be the ones de-escalating this situation instead of the other way around because that was basically their freaking job. But instead of doing so, they accused the man, telling him that he was the one escalating things. One of the cops then repeated what he said earlier, basically threatening the man and the people he was with to arrest them for trespassing if they didn't stop filming.
Huh? This guy's getting disorderly. Should I leave? Should I de-escalate the situation?
You're the one who's escalating. Are you live streaming? Yes or no? I'll find out.
I'm not live streaming. No, I got live
If you
streaming.
are live streaming right now and you don't leave and stop the recording immediately, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Is that clear? Still have the
nothing's
ability to
clear. I don't
leave.
understand anything. You have the ability to leave. Get out of here.
All right.
You guys can't chase us down. We're talking here just fine.
You have the ability to leave right now, but if you are filming and you haven't stopped it and you haven't
I'm
left
not
immediately,
filming. What the wrong with
if
you?
any of you are filming, you'll be arrested for trespassing.
So if somebody's filming, I'm going to be on a card real quick.
The man got tired of all that cop nonsense and went on to ask the cop who was giving unlawful orders for his name and badge number, and the cop told him that immediately. He asked him for his business card as well, but the cop told him that he didn't have it. The man then explained that the only reason he was asking him for that was because he was threatening to arrest him.
Sax 43486.
Write it down for me on a card.
I don't have a
Sax.
business card.
You just threatened me, man. You just threatened me. So under the threat of arrest, I will leave. That's it.
I'm the third arrest. You can arrest me if I don't. I know you can arrest me if I don't.
I got your back, Tuck. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
All right. It's time for you to
Back up till you need to give me 10 feet.
Sax 43486. Here's my badge.
Sacks, go sort some sacks. Needs your badge number written on a piece of paper. Everybody that's involved here.
The next thing you know, the man was telling all the cops involved to write down their information on a piece of paper, and they had no other choice but to listen, knowing full well that they were going to get in some serious trouble if they didn't do that.
You guys, now I need it all written down. Anybody that's involved here kicking me out, you guys just threatened me with arrest. You guys are all involved. You didn't stop him. Write it down. Write it down now. Think you're intimidating or not? You're this big to me, dude.
I don't have him. He's got our. We will write him down there.
Write it down. And badge number.
Sax.
While some of them were writing their information down, the man asked them why they were harassing him. He brought up the fact that one of them threatened to arrest him, and the cop who did it straight up denied ever doing so. It just goes to show how you should always film the police. You never know what they're gonna do and what lies they're gonna tell. That's certainly why these cops didn't want the man to film them, but luckily, he didn't listen. After realizing that he couldn't fool this man, the cop changed his story and admitted that he threatened to arrest the man and went on to ask him to repeat what he said about the actions that would lead to his arrest, and the man did just that.
Why would you guys do this? What's wrong with you people? I'm here to pick up discovery on the 5th floor, and you're going to come down here and threaten me with arrest?
No, I did not.
You absolutely did. You just said if
I gave
somebody's
you very
recording...
clear instructions on what would lead to your arrest. What were they?
If somebody's recording, you're going to arrest me. That has
That's not what
nothing
I
to
said.
do with me.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
No, it's not.
Can I get the information, please, sir? Hey, where's my paperwork at? Thank you for handing that off like that. Thank you. Sorry about that, brother. That was terrible, man. What kind of, you ever heard of the Office of Professional Standards?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to be ran through that shit.
Then it was the man's turn to threaten that same cop, telling him that he was going to strip his qualified immunity and reminded him that he just can't go around threatening people with arrest without them committing a crime. The cop then tried to interrupt him, but the man completely owned him by telling him to shut his mouth, and the cop had no other choice but to do just that.
He's going to hear about your ass. You think it's a joke? I'm going to strip your qualified immunity and badge off money to you. You do not threaten people with arrest over not breaking the law.
I did not. I
You're
warned you
shut.
to your
You
arrest.
threaten me with arrest.
Okay.
Shut your mouth.
Okay.
Good. All you guys go circle jerk each other. Go self and your mother.
The man then told his friend that it was time for them to go. As they were leaving, some more cops showed up and they just stood there, trying to intimidate the man, and one of them tried to touch him, maybe even put him in handcuffs, who knows, and the man just said that he was gonna get a lawsuit as well.
Let him go. Let's go, man, before they pull some bullshit. Get your car out of the road. Who do you think you are, above the law, wine grad? How do you know my name? There's another lawsuit. There's another lawsuit. You just exposed
Previous contacts, Mr. Triple.
previous contacts, huh? Your little across the
His
street.
brother, his little bitch brother.
Don't
Yeah,
get
don't
crazy,
touch
bro.
him. Don't obstruct that. No, we're not.
Fucking this up.
Goodbye.
The man and his friends then returned to the courthouse where another officer threatened to arrest them if they didn't leave when one of them asked him what the charge would be. He said, trespassing. This was a clear example of setting up cops to walk straight into lawsuits. Well, that's what they get when they give unlawful orders and violate people's rights.
I'm here for court date. Okay. Now you're court date. If you don't leave, Mr. Brown, I'm going to arrest you.
So under threat of arrest?
Yes. Under threat of arrest?
I'm not
Under threat of
I'm
arrest.
here for the court date.
I'm not live streaming.
I'm not either. Recording?
I'm not doing anything.
Okay. If you don't stop or leave, I'm going to place you under arrest. Mr. Brown, you as well?
Here we have a cop thinking that he owns this courthouse and educated citizens putting him in his place. The cop was doing his best to explain how they were not allowed to film in the courthouse, saying that it was against policy, and then asked them to leave.
Okay.
Well, we're just trying to.
You need to step out of the courthouse.
He's just asking for a supervisor.
Yeah,
It's your policy, right?
You mind if I get your name, badge number?
Yeah, my name is
Senior
Deputy Hernandez.
Deputy Hernandez. Okay. Yeah, man, we don't mean no disrespect or nothing like that. We're not trying to stir anything up. We're just kind of trying to find out exactly, what's going on.
That's what's going on.
Campbell.
So you're recording right now in the courthouse, though. So
Which isn't
you
against
don't
the
mind, you
law.
just sit up.
Yeah.
It's a rule of the court. We already established that. Okay. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
so-
be difficult with you guys, but you can't do it in here. So if you don't mind, if you can please step outside.
One of the guys then started lecturing the cops, saying that he understood that he had to say those things, but he still violates his constitutional rights. He also reminded the cop that people are regularly filming in courthouses and no one else is bothering them. The cop still insisted on them leaving when one of them asked him about a sergeant. The cop said that they could wait for him outside the courthouse. The guys knew they were right about this cop violating their constitutional rights, but they were obviously not in the mood for arguing, so they just left the courthouse.
And they tell you guys to do this and to say these things, but sometimes these little rules that you guys put sometimes overstep the boundaries of our constitutional rights. Like, let me ask you a quick question real quick. How many videos have you seen of people recording in courthouses where people walk out of the court and you see people?
Listen, man,
you know
I
what
have
I'm
a
saying?
job to do over here, so if you don't mind, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I've already established that you can record in here. The rule is here to rule of the court.
Is there a sergeant here on site or
Yeah,
no?
is there a sergeant over
You
here?
can wait for the sergeant outside if you want a sergeant.
Yeah,
call him.
Okay?
Can we do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool, man. To the lane as well. Let me just tell you guys this really quick. What they do is they try to create all these stipulations and all this and all that.
In May 2019, a former Metro police officer, Jarius Warren, was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 2 years of probation with an ankle monitor and a curfew for beating a homeless man at Burnett train station. Basically saying that this cop was an embarrassment to the uniform and law enforcement and that he wished he could hand down a harsher sentence. If that wasn't enough, the judge also called him a bully with a uniform.
Road, get out, face the music, and render a salute. Like, I actually love serving. I truly love serving. And I know it's an honor. And when you wear that Metro uniform with your name on one side, your badge on the other side, then you carry a lot of responsibility with you. You carry a lot of responsibility. One, you represent your family name. And that should mean something to you. On the other side, you carry the Metro badge, and that should mean something to you. When you have that uniform on, you represent all law enforcement across the country. Across the country. And you're only how old? 24?
Yes, sir.
24. In your lifetime, at least half of it, by the time you start watching the news, I don't know what it was, but at least from the time you were 12 on up, there's been 1,000,001 police brutality cases. And so in my mind, you should have had the mindset, I want to make sure that I come from a community that distrusts the law enforcement. I want to show my community that law enforcement officers are good. I want to be that shining star. But yet, the actions on the video shows that you were just like a bully, a gangster with a uniform on. that extra kick, that last kick where he told you kick me and see what happens, that's stuff that I used to do in the hood, that I used to have to deal with. That's how you start a fight with somebody. Touch me one more time and see what happened. Cross this line, see what happened. Call my girl one more time, see what happened. That happened all through middle school, all through high school. And for you as an officer to engage in that type of conduct with somebody who's mentally ill, a mentally ill man, and for you to engage in that conduct and fall for the bait and then literally beat the mess out of him, you're an officer, you know what the proper charge is when you beat somebody with a deadly weapon. And you know you do not even belong in this court. And in your heart, you know that. And so, the punishment I want to give you, I'm not allowed to because it's not in my jurisdiction. But the punishment I'm going to give you, you're going to serve 2 years on probation. You're going to go into custody today. You're going to do 30 days. That's the maximum amount of time I can send you to jail. When you get out of jail, you're going to have a leg monitor that you're going to wear for 2 years, and you're going to be under a curfew. And if there was something else I could think to do to you, I would do it. There is no excuse for your behavior. The city of Houston could have burned down because you were outside playing with a mentally ill guy, kicking him, bullying him, and doing whatever you were doing that you called law enforcement that your own witnesses said was too much. Everybody who stepped on the stand with a badge said your behavior was out.